Why probate? Well, imagine there was a lead source that had a high density of motivated qualified sellers. I don't know if you guys know this, we live in a world where we can make data-driven decisions. Do you know that most of the gurus in our space, most of the real estate coaches, some of which have never sold real estate before, what they will tell you is the 4 horsemen. Expireds, canceled, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold, and all they do is recycle them depending on the flavor of the month. If you're gonna stack time on top of a lead source, wouldn't it make logical, practical sense for you to stack time on a lead source that has a higher density of motivated qualified sellers? Because that increases the chances that you'll bump into one. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Probate is that. It's also market resistant. It is independent of interest rates, independent of market cycles, independent of administrations. I don't care if you're red or blue. What are the 2 things that are gonna happen no matter what? Death and taxes. The other thing that I love about this, 65% of these homes, guys, are free and clear, which means we have high levels of motivation and what? High levels of equity. Every real estate agent's favorite things to hear. And it's an enormous demographic. We have this huge silver tsunami. The second largest group of Americans in the United States behind millennials is baby boomers. Any boomers in the room? Love you guys. Their average age is 70. They're 21% of the US population, 62% of them own a home. What'd you say? 62% own a home. What is the probability, knowing that demographic, where they're 21% of the population, 62% own a home, they're the second largest group in the United States, that probate is gonna be a fantastic dynamic lead source for the next 10, 15 years? Yes or yes?
Yes.
You see how we can logically think together? Instead of like, you can do it. Hey, believe in yourself, find your magic. Probate can legitimately become a 2 to 3 listing thing a month for you within 90 to 120 days. It became 50% of my business. So do you remember when I had that Superman picture? And I was doing condo conversions, and I had to find a guide to tell me where the opportunities were? Well, where he told me was expireds. But here's the thing, that was good guidance. Then, historically, we had the most expireds on record. Never had more since. We had 300 a day, I couldn't even call them all. But then, 2011-12 happened. The market got better. What happens to expireds when the market gets better? They go away. Now, I would love to tell you that I had a very adult, mature way of handling that. That I was like, oh, you know what? This is changing. Maybe I need to pivot. That is not what happened. I had an adult temper tantrum. I banged my head against the wall for 90 days, and I realized there's not enough leads for me to do what I want. I pivoted over to probate, sought a guide, pivoted over to probate. I went from 100 transactions a year to 200 transactions a year on the back of that lead source. Now we got to overcome some of these internal beliefs that get in the way of reaching out to this lead source. Sensitive time, uncomfortable conversations. I don't know if you know this, one of the second biggest fears behind public speaking is confrontation. Poaching, how dare you? You're such a dirty boy. How are you doing that? Poaching those people. How many people in this room have ever dealt with a probate for a family member where there was real property? Yeah. How hard was that?
It's hard. Very.
Incredibly difficult. You have the real property, which sometimes you still have some of those siblings that don't want to leave, still living there. You have the tangible personal property, which is all the contents, which has sentimental value. Plus you got all your siblings like this. Give me the money, please. Do you know how many sellers I've spoken to, legitimately verbatim with no hyperbole, said to me, hey, you know what? I went to bed last night, I didn't know what I was gonna do, and you called me. Now imagine, with that belief, am I gonna be hesitant to pick up the phone? No. Because I see myself as the white hat. Do you know who knows about this lead source and beats it up? Investors. Second one, it's too sensitive. Are you gonna have to learn what I would call tactical empathy? Yes, because it is a tough situation. Do you know how much value you add by helping people to navigate that? Because they're not talking to their brother and sister, and you can help put that together? You're adding tremendous amounts of value to these people in their lives. And in the process, you can make money. Does that make sense? You could do good by doing good. And then the last one is, which I heard over here, it's too complicated. There's attorneys involved and all that other stuff. Well, I don't buy that. You know why I don't buy that? Everybody in this room learned how to walk. Everybody in this room learned how to talk. Sometimes multiple languages. Everybody in this room learned how to drive. Most of us in this room, if you're my age, I'm 45, you learned how to use technology. I used to make fun of people who did like media. Now I'm the guy who teaches media. You can all learn things. And this process is not that complicated to learn. You just need to understand the legal component in your geographic area. And then you can combine that with the real property knowledge, and now you can add a lot of value. Anybody who has a real estate license can help these people sell their home, yeah? But the one who ends up actually getting the business is the one who solves the most problems for them. Okay, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. How do you actually do this? Now there's 2 ways to get data. The first way is you go to the courthouse. The second way is you use a third-party provider. Now, I'm gonna go through 2 of both of them, and I'm gonna give you pros and cons of each. So by going to the courthouse, the con is you have to physically go. At first, I went like 6 times, and then I taught my mother-in-law how to do it, and I paid her to do it. But you have to figure it out, because then you're at the whim of somebody else, yeah? Now, that's the con, but there's 3 different pros. The first pro is you are in control. Whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. Second is frequency. I wanna get this data as fast as possible, because again, who knows about it are investors. And then the third thing is, in terms of like these lead sources, the data is complete. So I want not only the personal representative or the executor, the person who's in charge, I want the real property, but I also want the beneficiaries, people that are involved in the estate. Why? Do you know how many homes I've listed because I couldn't get a hold of the personal representative or the executor, but I got a hold of the beneficiary, their brother or sister. They gave me contact information and then we listed the property. The second way to get the data is through third-party vendors. I'll give you a few of them if you want to write them down. One is all the leads and another one is US probate leads. There's others out there. Those are two that I'm familiar with. Now, the pro to that data is that you just pay and they send it to you in a CVS file and you can load it up and call. 3 cons. 1, you're not in control. 2, frequency. A lot of them only send it to you once a month. The third one is that oftentimes, again, the data is not complete. So they might give you the personal representative or the executor, but they don't give you the beneficiaries. The only way that this information is not public is if the person has all of their assets in a revocable or irrevocable living trust. And 95% of the US population does not. People think because they have a will, they avoid probate. That's not true. Now we get to like what to say and how to say it. Yeah? So time doesn't permit for me to go through the whole thing with you, but I'm going to give you the opener because always people ask me, like, how do I engage this conversation? And here's what you definitely don't want to do. Everybody look at me. You definitely don't want to do this. I heard Grandpa Jim died. You want to sell the house? Don't do that. Okay? Some of the people I taught this to, they're like, man, I'm not setting any appointments. I'm like, well, that's why. Okay? If I was reaching out and calling, I say, hi, my name is Aaron. I was looking to speak to Susie with regards to the Wilson estate. Well, as I mentioned, my name is Aaron. I'm a local real estate agent here in blank, wherever the property is, and I specialize in probate and estate sales of real property. I was reaching out to you this morning because my head researcher pointed out to me that very shortly, if not already, you will be appointed the personal representative in the, forgive my pronunciation, blank estate. And I realize I do sincerely that I may be a little premature in some way. I was calling very respectfully, of course, with regards to the real property on 1265 Plum Street, simply just to find out if you and the rest of your siblings, Tom and Susie and Jim, if you guys had decided at some point you wanted to put that home on the market and to get it sold. How many people besides me ever had somebody call them and you couldn't figure out why they were calling and you hang up? Yeah. So if I call and say, hey, I'm looking to speak to Susie with regards to the blank estate, immediately you're like, what? I need to talk to this person. I'm letting you know who I am right away. And I was reaching out, very respectfully, of course, with regards to the blank estate. Do you see what's happening? I'm also deploying tactical empathy. I'm letting you know that I recognize that this is sensitive. I realize that I may be a little premature. I was calling very respectfully. You hear what happens to my tone? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah. That's on purpose. It's tactical empathy. Now I mean it. I was calling very respectfully, of course, with regards to the real property on 1265 Plum Street. So now you know why I'm calling. Simply just to find out if ultimately, at some point, because I recognize, are they going to be ready to do something right now? No. Oftentimes not. Some of them are, but oftentimes not. At some point, you and your siblings, Susie, Tom, and Jim. Why am I bringing up Susie, Tom, and Jim? In your mind, what do you think? He knows these people. And he's super familiar with the situation. And what does that do to their probability that they're going to speak to me? Dramatically. Yes. Simply just to find out if ultimately at some point yourself and your siblings, Susie, Tom, and Jim, this is why I want all the data, yeah? If the goal and objective at some point was to get that home on the market and get it sold. Quiet. They're either going to say one of 3 things. Yes, no, or we don't know yet. Now from there, the conversation splinters, and we could take it from there. Time doesn't permit for me to go through all of it, but that's the opener. Okay? That's how you initiate this conversation. So here's what's true with this person. I probably wouldn't list their home. What's happening now is the mechanism with which money is transferred is what's changed. So it used to be the seller agreed to a professional fee. At closing, at a title company, the money went to the listing agent. The listing agent is the one that's paying both sides. The listing brokerage. Now the mechanism, they decoupled that. So the mechanism is that the seller pays the listing agent and the seller can pay the buyer's agent, or the buyer's agent pays the buyer's agent.